The Zorath Empire had ruled the Andromeda sector for 3,000 years. Their warships were legends. Their weapons could burn planets. Their fleet commanders had never known defeat. When the human colony worlds rose up against Imperial taxation and demanded independence, the Zorath High Council laughed. They sent Admiral Kethver with 200 battlecruisers to crush the rebellion in a single month. But the humans did not surrender. They fought back with old ships and outdated weapons. They lost battle after battle, yet they kept fighting. The war dragged on for 2 years. The Zorath destroyed human military bases, bombed their shipyards, and burned their factories. Still, the humans resisted. Admiral Kethver grew frustrated. His intelligence officers told him the same thing every day. The humans were running out of supplies. Their ammunition was nearly gone. Their fuel reserves were empty. Their food stocks would not last another season. Victory was close. Then the convoys began. Human cargo ships started moving through the outer trade routes. They carried ammunition, medical supplies, food, fuel, and replacement parts for damaged warships. These supplies came from the neutral sectors, purchased with human credits and shipped by civilian freighters. The Zorath High Council was furious. They ordered Admiral Kethver to stop these convoys at any cost. The Admiral smiled when he received these orders. Intercepting cargo ships was simple work. His battlecruisers could destroy 100 freighters before breakfast. He deployed his fleet across every known trade route. He positioned sensor stations at every jump point. He created a wall of warships that nothing could pass through. The first convoy appeared 3 days later. 20 human freighters jumped into the Varus system. Their cargo holds full of ammunition and medicine. Admiral Kethver sent 50 battlecruisers to intercept them. The freighters tried to run, but they were too slow. The Zorath weapons tore them apart in minutes. Not a single crate reached the human colonies. The Admiral reported his success to the High Council. They praised his efficiency. He was promoted and given more ships. His confidence grew. The second convoy came a week later. 30 freighters this time, guarded by a small human escort fleet. Admiral Kethver sent 80 battlecruisers. The escort ships fought bravely, but were outmatched. The freighters scattered in all directions, hoping some might escape. None did. The Zorath destroyed every single one. More convoys followed. The humans tried different routes, different timing, different tactics. They sent decoy ships. They used stealth technology. They hired alien smugglers. Admiral Kethver intercepted everything. His fleet destroyed convoy after convoy. Hundreds of freighters burned in the void of space. Thousands of tons of supplies never reached their destination. The Zorath intelligence officers reported that human morale was collapsing. Their resistance fighters were starving. Their warships sat idle without fuel. Their soldiers had no ammunition left. Complete victory was only weeks away. Admiral Kethver received another promotion. The High Council called him the greatest naval commander in Zorath history. He began planning his triumphant return to the homeworld. Then something strange happened. A human convoy jumped into the Nexer system. It was the largest convoy yet. 50 freighters, heavily loaded, moving slowly toward the human colonies. Admiral Kethver sent 100 battlecruisers to destroy it. His ships arrived at the intercept point. Their weapons locked onto the freighters. But the freighters did not run. They did not scatter. They continued on their course, as if the Zorath fleet did not exist. The Admiral ordered his ships to open fire. Plasma beams and missiles streaked toward the convoy. The freighters exploded one by one. Within an hour, all 50 ships were destroyed. Not a single piece of cargo survived. Admiral Kethver reported another victory, but something bothered him. The humans had not even tried to escape. They had flown straight into death without hesitation. It made no sense. 3 days later, another convoy appeared. 40 freighters this time. The Zorath destroyed them all. The humans did not resist. A week passed. Another convoy. 60 ships. All destroyed. No resistance. The pattern continued. Every few days, a new convoy would appear. The humans sent their freighters into certain death. The Zoroth destroyed them without effort. Admiral Kethfer's kill count grew higher and higher. His officers celebrated each victory, but the Admiral stopped celebrating. Something was wrong. He could feel it. He ordered his intelligence officers to investigate. They analyzed the destroyed convoys. They studied the cargo manifests. They examined the wreckage floating in space. The report came back 2 weeks later. Admiral Kethfer read it 3 times. His blood went cold. The freighters were empty. Every single convoy had been carrying nothing but air. The cargo holds were vacant. The ships had no ammunition, no food, no fuel, no supplies of any kind. The humans had sent empty ships to die. Admiral Kethfer did not understand. Why would the humans waste ships this way? What possible purpose could it serve? He ordered his fleet to intensify patrols. He doubled the number of sensor stations. He monitored every corner of space. The empty convoys kept coming. The Zoroth kept destroying them. Weeks turned into months. Admiral Kethfer grew obsessed. He spent every waking hour studying the human movements. There had to be a reason. There had to be a strategy. He just could not see it. Then, one of his junior officers made a discovery. The officer had been analyzing Zoroth fuel consumption records. He noticed something alarming. The fleet was burning through fuel at an incredible rate. The constant patrols, the intercept missions, the combat operations, all of it required enormous amounts of energy. The fleet had consumed more fuel in 3 months than it normally used in 2 years. Admiral Kethfer checked the supply reports. His fuel reserves were nearly empty. Ammunition stocks were running low. Replacement parts were scarce. His fleet had been fighting so hard to stop the human convoys that it had exhausted itself. He immediately requested emergency resupply from the homeworld. The High Council approved his request. A massive Zoroth supply convoy was assembled and sent to reinforce his fleet. The supply convoy never arrived. Human warships intercepted it at the edge of the sector. While Admiral Kethfer's fleet was busy chasing empty freighters, human strike forces had moved into position along the Zoroth supply routes. They attacked the real target, the convoy that actually mattered. The Zoroth supply ships were not designed for combat. They had minimal weapons and thin armor. The human warships tore them apart in a single afternoon. Millions of tons of fuel, ammunition, and food were lost. Admiral Kethfer's fleet was stranded without resupply. The Admiral finally understood what the humans had done. The empty convoys were bait. Every freighter the Zoroth destroyed had served its purpose. Each intercept mission had cost the Imperial fleet fuel. Each battle had consumed ammunition. Each patrol had worn down the ships. The humans had sacrificed worthless vessels to drain the Zoroth of real resources. While Admiral Kethfer was busy destroying empty targets, the humans had built up their actual supply lines in a completely different region. They had moved their real convoys through routes the Zoroth were not watching. They had stockpiled everything they needed while the Imperial fleet wasted itself on ghosts. Now the situation was reversed. The Zoroth fleet had no fuel to patrol. They had no ammunition to fight. Their ships were damaged and could not be repaired. The hunters had become the prey. The human counterattack began 3 days later. Fresh human warships, fully supplied and heavily armed, emerged from hiding. They struck the Zoroth patrol stations first, destroying the sensor networks that had been watching for convoys. Then they hit the fuel depots, burning what little remained of the Imperial reserves. Finally, they moved against the main fleet. Admiral Kethfer tried to organize a defense, but his ships could barely move. Their weapons were running dry. His crews were exhausted and demoralized. The humans showed no mercy. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it was over, The once mighty Zorath fleet was scattered wreckage. Admiral Kethfer's flagship was captured. He was taken prisoner and brought before a human commander. The human was young, with tired eyes and old scars. He did not gloat. He did not mock the defeated admiral. He simply explained what had happened. The humans called it the Phantom Convoy strategy. They had learned it from their own history, from ancient wars fought on their homeworld. An old general named Sun Tzu had written about appearing weak when you are strong. Another leader named Wellington had used deception to exhaust Napoleon. The humans had simply applied these lessons to space warfare. The empty convoys had cost them almost nothing. Old ships, volunteer crews, no cargo. Each destroyed freighter was a small price for draining the enemy's resources. The real supplies had moved through hidden routes, building the strength that eventually crushed the Imperial fleet. Admiral Kethfer asked why the human crews had volunteered for suicide missions. The human commander smiled sadly. He said that every crew member knew their ship would be destroyed. They also knew their sacrifice would save millions of lives in the colonies. They went willingly because they believed in something larger than themselves. The admiral had no response. In 3,000 years, the Zorath had never fought an enemy like this. They had never faced a species that would sacrifice everything to win. They had never understood that true strength was not found in weapons or ships, but in the hearts of those who fought. The war ended 6 months later. The human colonies gained their independence. The Zorath Empire withdrew from the Andromeda sector and never returned. Admiral Kethfer spent the rest of his life studying human history, trying to understand how such a young species had defeated such an ancient empire. He never fully understood, but he came to respect them. The humans did not win because they were stronger or better equipped. They won because they refused to fight the war their enemy expected. They won because they were willing to lose battles to win the war. They won because they understood that every advantage has a weakness, and every strength can become a trap. The Phantom Convoys became legend throughout the galaxy. Other species studied the strategy. Military academies taught it to their officers, but no one could truly replicate it. The strategy required something that could not be taught or manufactured. It required people willing to fly into certain death for a cause they believed in. It required hope in the face of impossible odds. It required the stubborn, irrational, beautiful courage that seemed to exist only in humans. The Zorath learned an important lesson from their defeat. They learned that intercepting everything means nothing if you are intercepting the wrong things. They learned that apparent victory can hide real defeat. Most importantly, they learned never to underestimate humanity again. Because humans do not fight fair. They fight to win.